Here's how to make an internal thread milling toolpath. We'll go ahead to create operation and then go to our hole making type. Here we'll scroll over to thread milling, and you can see that this one is going to be hole thread milling as the name here, but you can see it in the image. This is ID, and this boss thread milling is for a boss. It's OD thread milling. So we'll click our internal thread milling or our hole thread milling, and then we'll select our thread mill. You'll notice in your tool list when you drop that down, it's only going to allow you to select none, browse out for a tool, or show you your thread mills that are currently in your program. So we'll select our thread mill here and say OK. This is going to be very similar to a spot drilling or tapping toolpath. So for our specify feature geometry, we're going to select our 4 holes up top here. And then once again, for our predefined thread length, we're going to go ahead and just go 1/4 of an inch deep. You can see we have all 4 holes selected. If you do not, you need to make sure down here you select all 4 holes. And then we're going to go from our table. We are going to do a unified thread, right-handed. It grabs the pitch of the thread mill from the thread mill in the tool table. So then here, we're going to go ahead and thread these 1032. We'll go down and select our UNF for our fine thread. Go to 1032. And then you can see that by doing so, it changed these major and minor diameter numbers, and the hole, or the thread, is inside of the hole. It's not large like it was prior. So we can go ahead and just say OK, now that our settings are all set for our thread, and we can generate this toolpath. When you look in here, you'll see that you have this helixing thread mill toolpath. Now, with thread mills, you need to make sure that your step overs or your radial engagement is correct or to the recommended settings from the thread mill manufacturer, and also do the same for your feeds and speeds. Every thread mill manufacturer may be a little bit different, and depending on the style of thread mill you're using, you may have different radial engagements. With that being said, here you can change your radial step over. You can do a multiple, a percent remaining, or a constant. I like to do the math from the thread mill manufacturer's charts and use constant. So a good rule of thumb that I have is on a small thread mill like this, that's a 1032, I'm going to do about a 10,000ths radial step over. So if I type in the 10 there, I can hit generate, and then you're going to see that the difference in the amount of material that is there to the amount of material the thread mill needs to remove is going to require 2 passes with 10,000ths in between them. So by changing this number here, if I change it to 5, we might get additional passes. So depending on what the manufacturer says for your thread mill, you need to import that information because it's going to determine how many passes you need to take in order to create that good and proper thread. Once you have your thread exactly how you want and your settings are good, you can go ahead and say OK, and your thread milling operation is complete.